You missed a spot. The words sliced through the air as Amara bent down, her knees pressing into the hard floor of the executive conference room. She'd been cleaning for 3 hours straight, her back aching, hands raw beneath the latex gloves. "Excuse me?" she said, looking up at the man towering over her. James Wilson, VP of Marketing, stood with his arms crossed, designer watch glinting under the office lights. His lips curled into something between a smile and a sneer. I said, "You missed a spot. Right there." He pointed to a perfectly clean section of the floor. "Are you blind or just incompetent?" Amara felt heat rise to her face. 2 weeks into her undercover role as a cleaner at Bennett Technologies, and this was far from the first insult she'd endured. But something about Wilson's tone, the casual cruelty in his voice, made her fingers tighten around the handle of her mop. "I've cleaned this entire floor twice already, sir," she replied, keeping her voice steady despite the anger bubbling inside. Wilson's eyebrow arched. "Are you talking back to me? Do you know who I am?" "Yes, sir. You're Mr. Wilson, VP of Marketing." His face hardened. "And you're just a cleaner, replaceable, forgettable." He stepped forward, deliberately knocking over her bucket with his Italian leather shoe. Dirty water spilled across the floor she'd just finished cleaning. "Oops," he said with mock concern. "Looks like you've got more work to do, Maya. Better hurry. The board meeting starts in 30 minutes. Amara stared at the spreading puddle, at her own distorted reflection in the water. In that moment, she wasn't Amara Bennett, daughter of Marcus Bennett, founder and CEO of Bennett Technologies. She wasn't a Stanford graduate with dual degrees in business and computer science. In Wilson's eyes, she was nothing but Maya Jones, night cleaner, invisible except when needed to be belittled. She swallowed hard, fighting back words that could blow her cover. "Yes, sir," she whispered, reaching for her mop. Wilson smirked, satisfied with her submission, and walked away without another glance. Little did he know, Maya wasn't just any cleaner, and tomorrow, the tables would turn in ways he couldn't imagine. Have you ever been underestimated or disrespected because of who you are? Share your experience in the comments. Marcus Bennett hadn't always occupied the corner office on the 50th floor of a glass tower in downtown Atlanta. 30 years ago, he slept on a pull-out couch in a one-bedroom apartment in Southside Chicago, sharing the cramped space with his mother and 2 younger sisters. The apartment building had unreliable heat, paper-thin walls, and a persistent mold problem that no amount of bleach could fix. Yet Marcus's mother, a hospital janitor working double shifts, made that small space feel like a fortress of possibility. "Education is your ticket," she'd tell him every night as she checked his homework by the light of a flickering lamp. "But kindness is your compass." Those words became Marcus's foundation. While his classmates dropped out or gave in to neighborhood pressures, Marcus doubled down on his studies. A full scholarship to MIT followed, where he slept 4 hours a night, studying, coding, and working part-time jobs to send money home. His breakthrough came during his senior year, an algorithm that revolutionized how machines recognize speech patterns across different dialects and accents. Previous voice recognition software had consistently failed to accurately interpret Black and brown voices with diverse regional accents. Marcus's innovation changed that overnight. 3 venture capitalists fought to fund his startup. By 35, Bennett Technologies had become an industry leader. By 40, the company employed over 5,000 people and had offices in 15 countries. Success hadn't changed his core values, however. Every new employee at Bennett Technologies received the same welcome speech. "And we build technology that serves humanity, not the other way around. And we treat every human with dignity." From the cleaning staff to the coding team. The company gained recognition not just for its technological innovations, but for its workplace culture. For 7 consecutive years, Bennett Technologies ranked in the top 5 of Best Places to Work lists. Marcus prided himself on knowing the names of every employee, from executive vice presidents to mailroom staff. His greatest pride, though, was his daughter, Amara. Brilliant like her father, but with a fierce independence inherited from her mother, Amara had grown up watching Marcus build his empire. As a child, she'd sit in board meetings with coloring books. As a teenager, she'd debate product strategies with his executive team. Now, at 24, fresh from Stanford with dual degrees, she was poised to join the company officially. "I want to earn my place," she told Marcus over dinner at his penthouse apartment. "No special treatment." Marcus nodded, proud but concerned. "The tech world still has glass ceilings, especially for Black women. You'll face challenges I never did." "Good," Amara replied with a determined smile. "I like challenges." 2 weeks later, the first anonymous email arrived in Marcus's inbox. Then another, and another. Each message described a different instance of discrimination within Bennett Technologies. Cleaning staff ignored or mocked. Racial microaggressions in meetings. Promotions mysteriously redirected away from qualified black employees. One email included a recording of a senior manager making racist remarks after hours, believing no one important was listening. Marcus read each complaint with growing horror. This couldn't be happening in his company, not under his watch, not with his values so clearly stated. Yet the evidence mounted, specific enough to be credible, but vague enough that identifying the perpetrators proved difficult. After a sleepless night, Marcus called Amara. "I need your help," he said, voice heavy with disappointment. "Something's wrong at Bennett Technologies, and I need eyes and ears where people won't recognize them." "What are you suggesting?" Amara asked, though she already knew. "An undercover operation," Marcus replied. "No one knows you yet. You could work as a cleaner for a month, see what happens when people think no one important is watching." Amara's silence lasted several seconds. "When do I start?" Amara hung up the phone and stared at her reflection in the apartment window. Her father's request echoed in her mind. Go undercover? As a cleaner? The proposition seemed both ridiculous and intriguing. Her first instinct was refusal. She had spent years preparing to enter the tech world through the front door, degrees in hand, ideas ready, eager to make her mark. This felt like sneaking through the back entrance, mop in hand. But then she remembered the stories her grandmother had told her, how she'd cleaned office buildings for 30 years, invisible to the executives whose trash she emptied, how she'd overhear conversations about her as if she weren't present, and a cleaning lady, instead of Mrs. Bennett. A woman with 3 children and a master's degree she could never use because no one would hire a black educator in her district. Sometimes, Amara, her grandmother once said, when people only show their true face to those they believe don't matter. The next morning, Amara called her father back. I'll do it, she said, but we do this my way. The transformation began immediately. First, the name, Maya Jones, simple and forgettable. Then, the appearance. Amara's designer wardrobe stayed locked away. Her natural hair, usually styled in elaborate braids or a sleek blowout, was hidden beneath a simple scarf. Contact lenses replaced her distinctive gold-rimmed glasses. She practiced walking differently, shoulders slightly hunched, eyes down, making herself smaller. For 3 days, she shadowed a professional cleaning service in another building, learning the rhythms of the work, how to properly mop without leaving streaks, the correct dilution ratios for different cleaning solutions, which elevator service staff used versus executives. The physical work is hard, the supervisor told her, but the mental toll is harder. You'll be treated like furniture, expected to be useful but never noticed unless something's wrong. Amara nodded, absorbing everything. Her father arranged the paperwork through a trusted HR manager who believed Maya Jones was part of a diversity initiative. Her backstory was simple, a community college student working nights to pay tuition, new to Atlanta, no family in the area. The night before her first shift, Amara sat cross-legged on her bedroom floor, surrounded by notepads and a small voice recorder disguised as a pendant. What am I looking for? She asked her father over speakerphone. Patterns, Marcus replied. Who treats service staff poorly? Who makes comments when they think no important ears are listening? Which departments have the most complaints? Amara scribbled notes, anxiety mingling with determination. And if I witness something serious, document everything but maintain your cover. This isn't about one incident. We need to understand the full scope. After hanging up, Amara practiced her new identity in the mirror. I'm Maya, she whispered, shoulders dropping, voice softening. Just Maya. For the first time since childhood, Amara felt genuinely afraid. Not of the physical work or long hours, but of what she might discover about her father's company, about the world he'd built, about the people who smiled at his face while undermining everything he stood for. She packed her cleaning uniform, set her alarm for 4:30 a.m., and took a deep breath. Tomorrow, Maya would begin her first shift. What would you do if you had the power to go undercover in your workplace? Day 1 hit Amara like a physical blow. By a.m., her lower back ached from bending to empty dozens of trash cans. By 8 a.m., her hands were red and chapped despite the rubber gloves. By noon, she understood why her grandmother had always soaked her feet in Epsom salts after work. The physical demands shocked her system. Muscles she didn't know existed screamed in protest. But the social reality proved even more jarring. Maya the cleaner was invisible. Employees walked past without acknowledgement, continued private conversations as if she were a piece of furniture, and sometimes literally bumped into her without apology. One executive held a door open for another who was 10 feet away but let it slam in Maya's face, though she stood directly behind him, arms full of cleaning supplies. "You'll get used to it," said Leticia, another member of the night cleaning crew, during their first break. "Most of them don't mean nothing by it. They just don't see us." Amara nodded, mentally cataloging every interaction. Being unseen had its advantages for her mission. People spoke freely around her, revealing office politics and biases they'd never display in front of executives. By her third day, patterns emerged. The marketing department, led by James Wilson, consistently left their conference room in chaos. Coffee spills unwiped, food wrappers scattered, chairs misaligned. The engineering team, in contrast, cleaned up after themselves meticulously, often thanking Maya when she came through. "Good morning, Maya," a young programmer named David greeted her on day 4. "Sorry about the coffee ring on my desk. I tried to get it, but it dried too quickly." "No problem," she replied, surprised at being addressed by name. David smiled. "My mom cleaned office buildings for 20 years, taught me to respect the people who keep things running." Not all interactions were positive. In the legal department, Maya overheard 2 associates discussing a black colleague. "He's articulate for sure," one said, "but I'm not convinced he has the Polish for client meetings." The other nodded. "Right, like he's obviously smart, but there's a certain quality our clients expect. Know what I mean?" They fell silent when they noticed Maya mopping nearby, exchanging glances before switching topics. On day 5, Maya met Mr. Elijah Johnson. At 72, he'd cleaned at Bennett Technologies for 15 years, since before the company moved to its current headquarters. While other cleaners worked in teams, Mr. Elijah worked alone by choice, responsible for the executive floor where Marcus Bennett's office stood. Maya found him polishing the marble reception desk at 5 a.m., his movements precise and unhurried. "You're the new girl," he said, not looking up from his work. "Maya, right? You missed a spot in the West Conference Room last night." Amara felt her defenses rise. "I cleaned that room thoroughly, sir." Mr. Elijah finally looked at her, eyes sharp behind wire-rimmed glasses. "Didn't say you didn't clean it. Said you missed a spot. Different thing. Come, I'll show you." He led her to the conference room and pointed to air vents near the ceiling. "Dust builds up there. Nobody notices until it starts affecting the air quality. Then they complain about allergies, never thinking about where it comes from." For the next hour, Mr. Elijah showed Maya techniques he'd perfected over decades: how to clean glass without streaks, how to preserve wood finishes, how to identify which stains needed which solutions. "Why are you helping me?" Maya finally asked. Mr. Elijah studied her face. "Been here 15 years, seen 5 CEOs before Mr. Bennett. He's the only one who knows my name, asks about my grandkids, remembers I fought in Vietnam. Man like that deserves people doing right by his building." He paused. "Besides, you got educated hands." "What?" "Your hands. There are cleaners' hands now, but they weren't always. You hold things like someone who spent years writing, typing, not digging, scrubbing." His eyes twinkled. "Don't worry, your secret's safe, whatever it is." From that morning on, Maya started her shift with Mr. Elijah, learning not just cleaning techniques, but the hidden architecture of the company. Who arrived earliest, who stayed latest, which departments respected the building and which didn't. "Watch and listen," he advised. "You learn more with your mouth closed." Maya took his words to heart. By the end of her second week, Maya had developed a system. Each night after her shift, she recorded detailed notes into a secure document on her phone: who said what, which employees treated cleaning staff with disdain, which managers made comments about diversity hires or showed favoritism, names, dates, times, locations, all meticulously documented. The patterns grew clearer with each passing day. The marketing department, legal team, and financial division consistently scored lowest in her informal honor respect index. The engineering teams, customer service department, and research division ranked highest. "It's not random," she told her father during their weekly secure call. "The departments with the most diverse leadership treat support staff better. The departments with the least diversity, particularly those with no black leadership, show the most problematic behaviors." "Correlation doesn't equal causation," Marcus cautioned. "No," Maya agreed, "but it's a strong indicator. And I've documented 27 specific incidents this week alone." The incidents ranged from subtle to blatant. In the marketing department, Maya witnessed a young black graphic designer's ideas consistently dismissed, only to be praised when repeated by his white colleague minutes later. In legal, administrative assistants of color were assigned menial tasks while their white counterparts received developmental opportunities. In the executive dining room, Maya overheard the CFO joke that the company's diversity initiatives were just for show. Most concerning were the hiring patterns Maya discovered while cleaning the HR department after hours. Applications from qualified candidates with traditionally black names were routinely marked "Mata culture fit" despite meeting or exceeding position requirements. "The system is designed to maintain the status quo," Maya explained to Mr. Elijah one morning as they cleaned the executive conference room together. She hadn't revealed her true identity, but she'd grown comfortable sharing her observations. Mr. Elijah nodded, polishing the mahogany table with smooth, circular motions. "System's always designed that way. Question is, who's brave enough to break it?" Their friendship had deepened over shared early mornings. Mr. Elijah gradually revealed pieces of his own story, how he'd earned a business degree in the 1,970 seconds but couldn't get hired in management because the customers wouldn't feel comfortable. How he'd built a small janitorial company that serviced corporate offices until a recession and an unscrupulous partner left him bankrupt. How he'd started over at 60, taking the only job available, cleaning the buildings he once hoped to manage. "Never got bitter, though," he told Maya. "Bitterness corrodes the vessel that carries it." "How did you maintain your dignity all these years?" she asked. Mr. Elijah straightened to his full height, shoulders back. "Dignity isn't given or taken, young lady. It's maintained. These folks might not respect the uniform, but the man wearing it, he respects himself." One night during her third week, Maya cleaned the executive floor later than usual. Most employees had gone home, but light spilled from under James Wilson's door. As she approached to empty his trash can, she heard voices: Wilson and Thomas Reed, VP of Human Resources. "Marcus is pushing this diversity initiative again," Wilson complained. "Wants percentages by department, retention rates, promotion statistics." "Just give him the sanitized version," Reed replied. "The numbers look better if we manipulate how we count administrative staff. He's obsessed with making this place some kind of equal opportunity paradise," Wilson scoffed. "Meanwhile, I'm trying to run a department that actually makes money. Just play along." Bennett's getting older. Word is he's grooming that daughter of his to take over eventually. Once she's in charge, we can guide her the right way. Women are easier to manage, especially if you flatter them properly. Maya froze, recorder capturing every word. Her hands trembled with rage, but she forced herself to continue cleaning, moving past Wilson's office without betraying her presence. That night, she couldn't sleep. The conversation replayed in her mind on loop, not just the discrimination and planned manipulation, but the casual certainty with which they discussed it, as if the system they'd created was so impenetrable that even the CEO's daughter would be powerless against it. "They're wrong," she whispered to her dark bedroom ceiling, "and they have no idea who they're up against. Like this video, if you believe respect should be given regardless of someone's job title." The monthly innovation meeting started like any other. Representatives from each department gathered in the main conference room to present new ideas. Maya entered quietly with her cleaning cart, pretending to wipe down surfaces while the room filled with employees. Jamal Williams, a 23-year-old black software developer who had recently joined the company, sat nervously at the edge of the table. Maya had cleaned his desk area several times. He always left it tidy, with small notes thanking the cleaning staff. Today, he clutched a tablet, rehearsing under his breath. As the meeting began, Maya noticed James Wilson and Thomas Reed exchange glances when Jamal stood to present. "Good morning," Jamal began. "I've developed a new algorithm that could significantly improve our voice recognition software for users with speech impediments." His presentation was clear, technical, and impressive, at least to Maya's educated ears. But before he could finish demonstrating his prototype, Wilson interrupted. "Where did you copy this from, Jamal?" Wilson asked, his tone simultaneously bored and accusatory. Jamal blinked, confusion crossing his face. "Sir, this concept, where did you find it? Because there's no way you developed this independently." The room fell silent. Jamal's hands trembled slightly. I didn't copy anything, Mr. Wilson. This is my original work, based on my master's research at MIT. Wilson laughed, a short, cruel sound. "MIT, right. Look, we hired you through that diversity initiative program. We expected you to learn, not pretend to innovate beyond your capabilities." Reed nodded along. "Maybe in a few years, Jamal. Focus on the basics for now." Maya watched the color drain from Jamal's face as he looked around the room for support. A few employees shifted uncomfortably, but no one spoke up. Not even David from engineering, who had always seemed decent. "My code works," Jamal said quietly. "I can prove it." "We've wasted enough time," Wilson declared, turning to the next presenter. "Rachel, please show us what real innovation looks like." Jamal sat down, his shoulders hunched, tablet screen going dark. Maya saw him blink rapidly, fighting back tears as Rachel, a white woman with half his qualifications, received enthusiastic response for a far less innovative concept. After the meeting, Maya followed Jamal to the break room, where he stood alone, staring out the window. "Your idea was brilliant," she said, abandoning her cleaning persona. He turned, surprised. "You understood it?" "Yes." The adaptive learning component was especially impressive. A small smile flickered across his face before fading. "Doesn't matter. They'll never let me advance here. Why stay? Student loans, rent, reality." He shrugged, defeated. "I just need to stick it out for a year." Maya watched him walk away, his posture bearing the weight of diminished dreams. Something broke inside her, a wall between Maya the cleaner and Amara the heir. This wasn't about gathering more evidence. No additional documentation could capture the slow destruction of human potential she had just witnessed. That night, she called her father. "I'm done," she said firmly. "We have enough, more than enough." "Are you sure?" Marcus asked. "We need to be thorough." "I watched a brilliant young man get crushed today," Amara interrupted. "While I stood by with a mop, protected by my disguise and my privilege. Every day I continue this charade. Real people suffer real consequences." Silence stretched between them. "What are you proposing?" Marcus finally asked. "A reckoning," Amara replied. "Not just for Wilson and Reed, but for the culture that empowers them. And it starts tomorrow." Marcus Bennett called an unprecedented all-staff meeting at 9 a.m. Attendance was mandatory, no exceptions, no dial-ins. Speculation buzzed throughout the building as employees filed into the main auditorium, a space typically reserved for product launches and annual gatherings. Maya stood at the back, still in her cleaner's uniform, watching faces she'd grown familiar with during her weeks undercover. Mr. Elijah stood beside her, seemingly unsurprised by the summons. "You know something," Maya whispered. "Know many things," he replied with a slight smile, "including that uniforms don't define people." At precisely am, Marcus Bennett walked onto the stage, his expression grave. The room hushed immediately. "Good morning," he began. Bennett Technologies was founded on two core principles, innovation and respect. We've excelled at the first, but I've recently discovered we've failed dramatically at the second. Murmurs rippled through the audience. For the past month, we've conducted an internal investigation into reports of discrimination, bias, and mistreatment within our company. On the giant screen behind him, photos appeared, screenshots of emails, transcripts of conversations, documentation of hiring patterns. James Wilson shifted uncomfortably in his front row seat. Thomas Reed checked his phone, feigning disinterest. Our investigator documented over 100 separate incidents of discriminatory behavior, biased decision-making, and hostile work environment creation. Marcus paused, surveying the room. "Some of you might wonder how we gathered such detailed evidence without your knowledge. The answer is simple. We had help from someone you all saw but never truly noticed." He gestured toward the back of the room. "Maya, would you join me, please?" All heads turned as Maya walked down the center aisle. Whispers followed her progress. James Wilson's face registered confusion, then alarm as recognition dawned. "Many of you know Maya as part of our cleaning staff for the past month," Marcus continued as she joined him on stage. "What you don't know is that Maya Jones is actually Amara Bennett, my daughter, and the future CEO of this company." The auditorium erupted. Gasps, whispers, shocked exclamations. Wilson's face drained of color. Reed fumbled with his phone, suddenly finding the presentation worthy of his full attention. Amara stepped to the microphone, removing her headscarf, standing tall. "For 4 weeks I cleaned your offices, emptied your trash, and wiped your fingerprints from glass doors. I worked nights, weekends, holidays. My back ached, my hands cracked from chemicals. I experienced firsthand how invisible service workers become in professional environments." Her gaze swept the audience. "Some of you," she nodded toward David in the engineering section, "showed basic human decency. You cleaned up after yourselves. You said please and thank you. You learned my name." Her expression hardened. Others demonstrated that respect in this company depends entirely on perceived status. You ignored me, spoke around me, belittled me, created messes specifically for me to clean. Behind her, the screen displayed specific examples. Wilson deliberately knocking over her bucket, Reed making racist comments thinking no one important was listening, the dismissal of Jamal's presentation, documented cases of hiring discrimination. This stops today, Marcus declared, rejoining Amara at the microphone. Effective immediately, James Wilson and Thomas Reed are terminated. 6 additional managers identified in our investigation will receive formal reprimands and mandatory sensitivity training. Wilson stood, face flushed with anger. You can't do this. I built that marketing department from nothing. Actually, Amara replied calmly, Sue built it by taking credit for other people's work, particularly black employees whose ideas you dismissed publicly, then implemented privately. We have documentation of 17 such instances in the past year alone. Wilson stormed out. Reed followed, already on his phone to a lawyer. Moving forward, Marcus continued, all departments will undergo structural changes, transparent hiring protocols, anonymous reporting systems, regular culture audits. And one more thing, Amara added. Jamal Williams? The young developer looked up, startled at hearing his name. Your voice recognition algorithm for users with speech impediments is excellent. You'll be heading our new accessibility division, reporting directly to me. A slow smile spread across Jamal's face as his colleagues applauded. As the meeting concluded, Amara sought out Mr. Elijah in the crowd. You knew, she accused gently. Suspected, he corrected. Your father talks about you too much for me not to recognize his daughter's eyes, even behind a cleaner's uniform. Subscribe to hear more stories about justice and accountability in the workplace. 6 months after what employees now call Denon the Revelation, Bennett Technologies had transformed. The physical changes were subtle. New collaborative spaces, a renovated cafeteria where executives and support staff ate together, clearer reporting structures posted in common areas. But the cultural shift ran deeper. Every Monday morning, departments rotated responsibility for cleaning their own spaces. Directors emptied trash cans alongside interns. The professional cleaning staff now focused on specialized maintenance rather than basic tidying. The policy came to be known as Inati Amara Rule, a reminder that no job was beneath anyone. During her official first month as Director of Innovation and Inclusion, Amara instituted blind resume reviews. Names, genders, and schools were removed from applications before evaluation. Within 2 quarters, hiring diversity increased by 37%. Retention rates improved across all departments. The marketing division, now led by Rachel, who had privately apologized to Jamal for her silence during his humiliation, developed campaigns highlighting accessibility features. Jamal's speech recognition algorithm became the company's fastest-growing product line, with testimonials from users flooding social media. For the first time, my computer understands me, wrote one customer with cerebral palsy. Bennett Technologies sees me as a person, not a problem to solve. Mr. Elijah received a new title, Chief of Operational Wisdom. While he still preferred hands-on work, maintaining the executive floor himself, he now also conducted weekly sessions with department heads on respect and workplace culture. His decades of observing corporate behavior proved invaluable in identifying problems before they materialized. Dignity isn't complicated, he often said in these meetings. It's simply about seeing the human before the function. For Amara, the lessons continued. Despite her position, she still arrived early once a month to work alongside the cleaning staff. The muscles she developed during her undercover time remained useful reminders of labor too often rendered invisible. One evening, she found her father in his office, reviewing employee satisfaction surveys. Look at this, Marcus said, pointing to the screen. Overall satisfaction up 42%, reports of discrimination down 90%. Amara nodded. Numbers are good, but the stories are better. The stories? People feel heard now. They bring their full selves to work. The engineering team has 3 members with speech impediments who specifically joined because of Jamal's division. A cleaning staff member just enrolled in our tuition assistance program for computer science courses. Marcus leaned back in his chair. I built this company thinking respect was about saying the right things, having the right policies. But respect is about seeing people, truly seeing them. It's about power too, Amara added. Who has it? Who doesn't? How easily it corrupts when unchecked. The company's transformation made headlines in business journals. Competitors rushed to implement similar practices with varying degrees of sincerity. Industry analysts predicted a downturn for Bennett Technologies following the leadership shakeup. Instead, innovation flourished. Quarterly profits increased. Employee-generated ideas created 2 new product lines. Applications for open positions tripled. Turns out, Amara explained to a business conference, when people aren't exhausting themselves hiding who they are or recovering from microaggressions, they have more energy for creative work. The true measure of change came 1 year later, when a new cleaning staff member, a young woman with a community college degree in business, approached Marcus with an idea for improving supply chain efficiency. Instead of dismissing her, he listened. Instead of questioning her qualifications, he evaluated her concept. Instead of wondering how a cleaner had developed such insight, he recognized talent unrestricted by title. The lesson of Amara's undercover journey had taken root. A person's value isn't determined by their uniform, but by their humanity. And in recognizing that humanity, Bennett Technologies had discovered its greatest resource had been there all along, waiting to be seen. This story shows the power of seeing people for who they are, not what they do. Share this with someone whose perspective needs broadening. What was your biggest takeaway?